guys, welcome to this week's vlog, which is actually going to be a little bit different because I'm going to try and bring you a themed reading vlog. So in my 2020 goals, I said that I would like to try out doing some themed reading vlogs. These have been very popular recently. Vlogs in general have increased a lot in popularity over the last couple of years. Like reading vlogs, obviously, like vlogging, just general vlogging has been popular for a very long time. So with me doing weekly vlogs every single week, I haven't took a break in, this will be my 80th weekly reading vlog. I haven't took a break in 80 weeks, guys. I mean, I know some of you have been around from the start of the weekly reading vlogs, which was a year and a half ago, but for those of you who haven't, this is reading vlog number 80, and that is 80 consecutive vlogs. I'm crazy, I know. So I really like themed reading vlogs and I wanted to try it one myself, but I do have a couple of constraints with the rest of the content that I build into my channel. You guys probably know I have my Bookopoly monthly TBR, which dictates what I have to read every month, and aside from that, as I just said, I do already vlog every single week. So for me to do a themed reading vlog, I have to group together books in my Bookopoly TBR and also manage to read those books in a week. So we're gonna try it out. We might fail, but that's what we're trying this week. And the theme for my very first reading vlog is that I am only going to be reading fantasy romance this week. This has worked out absolutely perfectly because Friday is Valentine's Day, so obviously it is a time for reading romance in general. And if you guys remember from my Bookopoly TBR for this month, or if you saw Ashley from a Frolic Through Fictions vlog or Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin's vlog, you will know that we will be having a little get together this weekend and we will be participating in Brit from Basically Brit's 24-hour Basically Readathon, and we will all be buddy reading A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. I have already read this. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I will be rereading this and so will Ashley, and Gavin will be reading it for the first time, and I'm so glad that I get to be in the room with him and see all of his reactions because he's just read Crescent City and he loved that. I'm not sure how he's going to feel about this working backwards through Sarah J Maas because I read this in the year it was released, but it's going to be a ride. So me reading this at the weekend has been planned for a while. The readathon does start at midnight Friday night, Saturday morning, but what has not been planned is the fact that I actually managed to get 2 fantasy romance books on my February Bookopoly TBR. So I thought that while I have Gavin Ashley here this weekend to read ACOTAR anyway, and Valentine's Day falls this week, why not just make this a week of fantasy romance? So I do have a little bit of a TBR for the week that I am going to share with you. I won't be telling you what each book is about. I will do that as I'm going through and actually reading those books, but obviously ACOTAR will be on there. I feel weird reviewing this because I've read it. This will be my 4th read of it, but I do plan on reading 2 other books this week as well. The first one being Lord of the Fading Lands by C.L. Wilson. This is a fantasy romance book that I bought because this is the 2nd most popular fantasy romance book according to Goodreads. I have already started this one. I'm just a little way of the way into it, so I'm still not really sure what's going on here at the moment. But with me loving Sarah J Maas so much and me coming to the realization over a few years that she is a fantasy romance author, not a fantasy author, I wanted to know if there was any more high fantasy romance out there, and there is. There's a whole genre for it. So you guys probably know I've been talking about it for a while, that it's something that I very much want to explore, with Sarah J Maas being my favorite author. This week is the week that I'm going to be doing that. So apparently C.L. Wilson is a very good fantasy romance author. This book in particular follows a fae man called Rain Tyrant Soul, whose race depends on the lives of these big mythical tiger things, and the big tiger things are dying out. So Rain is desperately looking for a way to save his people, and while he is looking for this miraculous cure to save his entire race, he comes upon young Elly. I should not be saying that in a fantasy romance reading vlog. Sorry, only trash humor here, guys. He finds a girl called Elly Setzer, who is the mortal daughter of a woodcutter, and I do believe there is a soulmate plotline in here. I'm not sure if it's insta-lovey yet, but I'm very excited to dive into this one. I think C.L. Wilson has around 8 books out so far, so I am hoping that I like her because then I will have a lot of her work to go through. I just wish her covers weren't so bad because, like, this guy's supposed to be a hot immortal dude and I'm really not feeling it. So the second book that's on this fantasy romance TBR is the reason why I'm not sure if this reading vlog is going to work out as a themed one, because it is over 500 pages. I have it as an e-arc on NetGalley, so I'm not 100% sure on the name right now, but I will insert a cover here so that you can see the title on the book cover. But I think it's called The Raven and the Dove. This is a young adult presumably fantasy romance. The synopsis makes it sound very fantasy romance and the cover makes it look very fantasy romance. So I'm presuming this is a young adult fantasy romance book that will be released in early March. A little bit hazy on the synopsis of this as I haven't revisited it since I did my Bookopoly TBR, but I believe it follows a girl who's sort of a princess, a guy who's a bastard prince, and also a merchant, and it's a retelling. Is it a retelling of, what's it a retelling of? I'm sure it's a retelling of something and I really can't remember what it is right now. I'll be back in a second. There we go. It is called The Raven and the Dove and it is a retelling of Tristan and Isolde, which is a movie that I really enjoyed. I've only seen it once. I would really like to revisit that. So I think after I've read this, I may go revisit that movie. I can't remember why I watched it or when, but it was a long time ago. I did really enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to this one. I requested it on NetGalley because the guy looks like Rhysand. I mean, I can't even lie. And I think that's intentional because it says for fans of Sarah J Maas on it. So naturally I had to give it a go. So we'll see what I think of that as well. But I hope this vlog is going to be a success. I hope that I managed to get through these books. I'm curious to see whether I do like fantasy romance. I've never read any books that have been categorized as fantasy romance before. So this is going to be an experience. I have a feeling that fantasy romance will be one of my favorite genres. So this week we are going to discover whether that is the case, and I'm bringing you guys along on the ride with me. So I'm actually not far from the end of Lord of the Fading Lands, but I have a few things to discuss about this book, so I thought I would come and do that before I give you my final thoughts on it and like my review. This story is about a young girl called Elly Setzer who is a mortal woodcarver's daughter. Her parents aren't her natural parents. She was found by the side of the road when she was a baby and this couple decided to take her in. And strange things have been happening to her since she was a child. She used to be plagued by seizures, and some other things are revealed in the book that she's actually done things that she didn't realise that she'd done. So it is presumed that there may be something a little bit magical about her. So this story actually starts off with the male protagonist who is his name is Rain Tyron. So whenever I talk about this book, I always mention the big cats, but I actually know a little bit about them now. So the main character Rain and his people are Fae, and they are tied to the big cats, which are called the Tyron. I'm not sure how exactly they're tied and what the logistics of that is, but the Tyron are growing sickly. They're very close to extinction, which means doom for the Fae population. Now Rain is actually the king of the Fae, and he is the only living Tyron soul, which means that he is a shapeshifter and he has a Tyron inside of him, so he can shapeshift into one of these ginormous cats, and they are big, they're huge, and they also have wings and can fly. So Rain is looking for the answer to saving the Tyron and saving his people, and they have this big crystal ball type thing. I'm really simplifying that. That's probably not the best way to describe it, but it's called the Eye of Truth. And in the prologue of this book, Rain is asking the Eye of Truth for help, and he sees the image of a girl who is of course Elly Setzer. So for the first time in 1,000 years, Rain decides to go to the mortal city of Celeria, along with one of his friends Maricia, who is known as the Truth Seeker, who goes every year to see if he can find this girl, as the Eye of Truth hinted that she would be in Celeria. When he is approaching Celeria, he feels the presence, I would guess, like an internal thing, of a woman in distress, and he flies to her side and he finds Elly Setzer and realizes that she is his true mate. This all happens in like the prologue in the first chapter of the book as well, so this isn't spoiling it. But when he sees Elly Setzer, he realizes that she is his true mate, which is quite a big deal because in the entire history of the world, a Tyron soul has never had a true mate. You can have a mate of the heart, but a true mate is a mate of the soul, and Rain and his people believe that Elly Setzer is going to be the one to save all of the Fae. Now, the majority of this story does take place in Celeria, and because Elly Setzer is now Rain's mate, she is in immense danger. We also have the mystery of her birth and that little hint of magic that seems to be around her and what that means. So the majority of the book is Rain and Elly Setzer getting to know each other because she's dubious about this whole mating thing, and also it's about mysterious forces and old enemies coming and presenting a danger to both Elly Setzer, Rain, the Tyron, and the Fae because of all the links there, while these two are getting to know each other and preparing for their eventual joining as mates and her becoming the queen of the Fae. Now, I am enjoying this book now. I'm on page 310 of this. I was a little bit unsure about this for the first 100 pages because this has a lot of things that I like in a fantasy romance. It's a fae romance as well, which we all know that I love, but it also has a lot of things that I didn't like. This is a historical romantic fantasy. I would probably say that if you love the romances of Sarah J Maas and your favorite Shadowhunter series is The Infernal Devices, then you will like this book because it has those fae romance elements. There are a lot of parallels to Sarah J Maas in here with the fae and the romantic stuff, but it is in a historical fantasy setting. So since I've got past the first 100 or so pages, there is a little bit of banter in here between some of the fae warriors and stuff, but for the first 100 pages it was very cheesy and all of the fae are like super serious all the time, and we're in this historical fantasy setting where the romance is restrained because Rain has to court Elly Setzer. He can't just take her away and do whatever. She has to accept the mating bond, which this book is pretty much about her accepting the mating bond and accepting him. So he has to formally court her and also ask her father for her hand in marriage and things like that, which I am not about. You guys know I don't like historical fiction very much, and this is one of the reasons why I don't like that quaint element. I don't want to say quaint, but you know what I mean, the really formal relationships between people in historical fantasy where like if the woman shows an ankle it's like shock horror. I'm not about that, so I didn't really like that about this starting out, but I don't mind now that we're getting into it because it is getting a little bit steamy. We've had a couple of steamy scenes, which I appreciate, and I'm getting used to it. I'm enjoying it. Now this has many things that I really like in terms of the fae. We have a mating bond in here, which I do like. However, I didn't like how it was done in this book because I'm going to compare it to Sarah J Maas because that is my only point of reference for fae romance. But in Sarah J Maas books, mating bonds do exist. However, in all of Sarah J Maas's books, when characters have become mated, they have known each other first, they have built a relationship or a friendship, and then they realize that they're mates and everything kind of comes together. And I like that slow burn element. Even if they are a thing before they realize they're mated, I like them to have some sort of already established relationship before the mating bond snaps in and it's like, you're my soulmate, we need to be together forever. However, in this, as soon as Rain lands in front of Elly Setzer, or even before that when he feels the distress, that is because she is his mate. So he rocks up in front of her and he's like, you are my mate, nobody is going to touch you ever again. And then he's like really aggressive and territorial. If you're familiar with Sarah J Maas, you will be familiar with the phrase territorial fae bullshit. There is a ton of that in here, and for the first 100 pages it is quite annoying to me, at least, because these characters did not know each other at all. They had never met before Rain swoops in and is just all over her. So I didn't like that to start off with, but like I said, getting into it, things have eased off a bit. The romance is more natural. It's more like a attraction of two people. That we still have this kind of forced interaction between them because the mating thing is prearranged, and like I said, this is quite historical, so Rain has agreed with her family that this is going to happen, similarly to arranged marriage plots that are in historical books. So we have that, which is stopping me from like loving this series, but I have warmed to the characters a lot. Elly does have a contingent of fae warriors that protect her. We've had a little bit of trickery and fun with those, which I really appreciate. I do really like Rain, however, and I don't want to sound shallow here, but covers on books do matter because it took me the longest time to not picture this guy when I was reading about Rain. And the funny thing is in this, actually, and I'm not sure whether it's because this is marketed as fantasy romance, I'm not familiar with romance as a genre, so I don't know whether it is typical for authors to write romance in kind of a self-insert way, and I'm not sure if that is the case because there is a lot of text in here that describes Elly Setzer. I could tell you exactly what Elly Setzer looks like. There is very little description surrounding Rain, so what I mean by saying I don't know if it's self-insert, like I don't know whether that is done intentionally so that if you are a female reader or a reader attracted to men reading this book, you can pick Rain however you fancy. It has been mentioned that he has long hair, but that was quite far into the book, and he's lean but muscular, also only described quite far into the book. And as I said, this is a fae romance, so I'm assuming that he has pointed ears, but I don't think that it has been ever explicitly mentioned throughout this book that he does have pointed ears. That being said, with me being familiar with Fae through reading other books with Fae in, it could have been mentioned right at the beginning and me not noticed it, but there's been no mention of his ears since, so I'm just assuming that he looks like a Fae as I know them to look, with pointed ears, etc. So I did find that a little bit odd. Aside from that, as I said, I am enjoying this book. I'm having a good time now. I have less than 100 pages left, so I may finish this tonight and I'll bring you my full review tomorrow. But I just wanted to come and check in and talk to you a little bit about some of the things that I'd noticed about this book going into it and the things that I was liking and disliking. There are more parallels to Sarah J Maas than the ones I have mentioned. This was published in 2007, so it predates Sarah J Maas, but I do know that Sarah J Maas also started writing her books a long time before they were actually published. Like, I think she actually wrote ACOTAR in 2009 and then just tweaked it and published it in 2015. So I don't know if this would be an inspiration for her. That being said, I have not read a whole ton of books about Fae aside from one Holly Black Fae book, all of Sarah J Maas and this. So it could just be like well-known Fae stuff that I'm not aware of, or typical things in Fae romance, which I wouldn't know because I haven't read a lot of it. But with me being such a huge fan of Sarah J Maas, it is definitely something that I'm noticing. Hey, so this morning I finished Lord of the Fading Lands by C.L. Wilson, and you know, by the end I actually ended up really enjoying this. I think it's a common thing with me, and not necessarily just fantasy romance but some romances in general. I think I find this in paranormal romances, that the beginning of any story or series that has romance as a central focus really annoys me, because I find that it's either one or two ways. Like yesterday I was complaining, or not complaining necessarily because I guess it's just a personal preference, of how this was like a historical fantasy romance. So we had the things like the courting and people had reputations to uphold and things like that. So I either find that it's like that and it annoys me because there's not enough romance there because of the restraints, or it's the complete other way and within 5 pages everybody's naked and it's just too much. So I think that's just a thing with me and fantastical romance, let's say. I'm not sure whether anybody else feels that way, but it's how it's something that I seem to have noticed. So I gave this 4 stars in the end. I don't think I've mentioned in this vlog as well that this is on my Bookopoly TBR. This was my first role, I think, and it was to read a fantasy romance. I'm really excited to carry on with this series now. The first 100 pages, I didn't think I was gonna like this book, and then the next 200 pages it was okay, and then the second half of the book I started to really enjoy it, and it's probably really annoying for you guys for me to keep mentioning Sarah J Maas, but like I said, that's my only point of reference for Fae romance. So I would say, if I had to compare this to Sarah J Maas in any way to convey my feelings about it, I would say that this is like Tamlin. Like, the guy is like Tamlin, but the good aspects of Tamlin and also the slightly questionable aspects. There's a little bit of possessiveness in here. It's with the mating bond and stuff, and if you've read A Court of Mist and Fury, you may be familiar with the things of when a mating bond has snapped into place, there is a lot of aggressive feelings in the male in the relationship, and it's all that like possessive territorial stuff, which generally I don't mind, but there is a lot of it in this, and I know that a lot of people won't like it for that aspect. So if you don't, then this isn't the book for you. If you do, then you may enjoy this, but I would say if you start it and you don't like it, then give yourself a little bit of time to warm up to it. The fantasy aspects we had in here I thought were good. I was a little bit surprised because this book does not really resolve anything. There is no real climax. Need to stop saying things like that. There is some climax in here, but there's no real climax to the plot events. It's still kind of ongoing, so I'm guessing that this plot will go through a couple of books before it comes to any sort of resolution, which was kind of disappointing because it meant that a lot of this book was just kind of plodding along through their relationship, and we have some sinister things going on in the background, and those sinister aspects of the fantasy plot were actually making me quite nervous for what that meant for the characters, but they never really came to fruition, and it all just felt a little bit safe in the fantasy danger aspects of this. But aside from that, I really enjoyed it. I'm really excited to read the sequel to this. I'm excited to see what happens with Rain and Elly Setzer's relationship, and I have noticed how annoying Elly Setzer is in my accent. I really don't like it. I've also noticed that Jean from Bookish Thoughts is currently reading one of the Weather Mages of Mistral books, so I'm really excited to see what she thinks of that one, because that will be where I go when I finish the Tyrant Soul series, I guess. But yeah, I liked it. So fantasy romance, it's a go. Adult fantasy romance is something I'm into. I mean, you all probably knew it was going to be, but I wasn't sure because I don't love paranormal romance. But so far this experiment has been a success. So I am currently reading, I always want to say Serpent and Dove. It's not Serpent and Dove, it is The Raven and the Dove by Caitlin Davis. I don't know what page I'm on because it's an ebook, but I'm 15% of the way through, which translates to about 75 pages, I guess. I don't really know too much yet. This is a 500-page book. It's quite fast-paced. It's not dense at all. It seems to be aimed at middle of the range YA. I think that the main character, Liana, who is a black main character, is 18. She's a month away from turning 18, and the guy that we've been introduced to, I'm not sure how old he is. I would assume that he was the same age as her, but in the prologue a king dies, and the two male main characters so far are brothers and the son of a king who dies, but I don't think it's the same king. I think that the king in the prologue may actually be the father of the antagonist character that's going to be coming into this. Basing this on my knowledge of Tristan and Isolde, and I think it's Rufus Sewell, who is he's the best guy to play an antagonist ever. I think he's the antagonist in A Knight's Tale as well. He has such piercing blue eyes. So I think that the son of the king who dies in the prologue is going to be that character. All I know about this so far is that the characters all live on floating islands in the sky, and each island has you could say a race, I guess, and the races all take after birds. So the main female character is a dove of the House of Peace, and the male main characters are ravens of the House of, I think it's Mysteries. Every summer solstice they have a competition where the children, I guess, of the nobles and the royalty come together, and there is a I can't remember what it's called. I think it's like a mating tournament where all of the children of the nobles and the royalty will pick the mates based on how they perform in these challenges. And the female main character, Liana, sneaks out onto this glass bridge so that she can see the first of the houses arriving, and the two raven boys are the first to get there when a dragon attacks, and the bastard prince, who is called Rafe, is seriously injured. So Liana helps him, and his brother is now wondering where he's gone. So that's where I'm up to. I can't really tell you what the greater plot of this is going to be about. I really have no idea so far, so I'll have to fill you in a little bit when I know what this book is really about. But I mean, it's okay at the minute. I'm not super compelled to read it. So I do have to edit a thumbnail and also edit the icon so I can rebrand the Catch Up Book Club Twitter, because I've just filmed the announcement for Elder Linglong today. But before I go and do that, I do have an Amazon parcel here that arrived this morning, so let us see what's in it without breaking a nail. Oh, they're from Jamie. Thank you so much, Jamie, for whatever may be in here. It's kind of yellow. Oh my god, it's Heartstopper Volume 3. Thank you so much, Jamie. Oh, thank you. Hello, I just wanted to send a little something. I enjoyed this book so much, and it might be nice to have something a little light-hearted, and just wanted to send something after the news about Rosie. Thank you so much, Jamie. So Jamie has sent me Heartstopper Volume 3 by Alice Oseman. Claire sent me her copies that she was unhauling last week of Volume 1 and 2. This is a webcomic. I have read the first 2 volumes and I absolutely loved it, and it is just a boy meets boy contemporary romance story about Charlie and Nick. Charlie is openly gay. Nick believes that he's straight until he becomes friends with Charlie, and he starts to question his feelings about Charlie and also his own sexuality. You guys know I don't love straight contemporary stories, especially young adult contemporary romance stories, whether they're straight or gay or whatever. They're just not my thing anymore. I've grown out of them. But I do really love contemporary graphic novels and contemporary manga. There's just something about them that resonates a lot more with me than a traditionally told contemporary story does, and I love this. The second volume of this made me cry, which does not happen with any books, never mind a contemporary love story. So thank you so much, Jamie, for this. It is Contemporary-a-thon at the moment, and I won't be participating because I'm doing this fantasy romance thing, but seriously, if I was not doing the fantasy romance thing, I would read this right now, because the art in them is super chunky, so it's really easy to just fly through one of these volumes in like an hour. But fingers crossed I may be able to squeeze this into next week, because I am really dying to read it. It really is lighthearted and gives me all the good feels. So thank you so much, Jamie, for this. Thank you so much for thinking of me, and I can't wait to read it. Hey guys, thought I would pop in for a quick vlog update before I get in the bath, because I received another parcel today, so I'm excited to see what's in here. Gav and Ashley are coming tomorrow. I think both of their trains get in at around 1 p.m. so I could have left this for tomorrow because I don't have a huge lot of reading to update you on, but I know that the whole weekend and the weekend portion of the vlog is just going to be taken over by those two and whatever we're doing. So I wanted to do this before they arrive, and while I have my makeup on, because I've just finished filming my mid-month wrap-up, I thought we would crack it open here. I hate it when they do this. I hate it when they do this. Okay. Oh, there's 2 books in here. We have notes. That's always good. Okay, let's see if this one comes out cover first. That's not the Winter of the Witch, is this? The Girl in the Tower. Oh my god, who sent me these? Linda! Linda, stop it! Thank you so much, Linda. I won't read the note out because it's like going into my vlog from last week, but thank you so much for these. These are the sequel to, I actually have it right here because I've just filmed my mid-month wrap-up. These are the sequel to The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden, which I read last week, and I really love this book. This is actually, it kind of works out that this is a fantasy romance vlog, because this is a very slow-moving story that takes place in Russia and centers around Russian folklore with nature spirits and things like that, but it actually has a romantic aspect that I did not expect going into this. I pretty much went into this expecting it to be romantic in vibe, which it was, but not to have any actual romance in it, and it did. But the romance of this actually kicks in right at the end of the book, and there was not enough of it for my liking, but I have heard that somewhere in one of these books it actually like starts to be a thing. So I am so desperate to read these, so thank you so much, Linda. Like, I need these in my life. Thank you for that so much. So reading wise, I'm still reading The Raven and the Dove, and I am 45% of the way through it, so I'm around page 225, I would say. I'm not really sure where this story is going, because I did refresh my knowledge of Tristan and Isolde earlier today when I was reading this, and I was right about it not having a great ending. I mentioned yesterday that there is a trial in this. It's called the Courtship Trials, and I'm trying to figure out which character is which in a Tristan and Isolde retelling, but I can't really figure out where it's going because there's multiple characters that could play one specific character, and I'm not sure which is which. I also looked into this book. It is the first book in a series. I'm not sure if it's just going to be a duology, but I believe that the second book is going to be released in summer, and that's called The Hunter and the Mage, I think, so I'm not even sure it follows the same characters. Pretty much we have these courting trials in here, and there's a series of physical and mental tasks, and whoever wins the trials, both the male and the female, they get first pick of who they're going to be matched with. Now, the thing that I'm struggling with a little bit in this book is that I like the male main character, Rafe. He's a little bit brooding, he's a little bit grumpy, but his heart seems to be in the right place. He's the bastard son of a king, and the king is now dead, and the queen naturally hates him. However, he does have a very strong bond with his brother, the crown prince. So Rafe is competing in these trials because his brother actually has a disability. He is missing his right hand, and as they look very much alike, he has asked his brother Rafe to step in for him because he thinks that Rafe can rank highly in this series of trials, and the Raven House is actually not doing so well because a lot of people mistrust them, and it has been so many years without them finding a mate at these trials because there's always an uneven number of males or females, and it always kind of works out that the Ravens are the ones left unmatched. So to continue the strength of their house, Xander has actually asked Rafe to step in. So Rafe has some quite strong motives. He's doing it for his brother, who's going to be the prince. He's also doing it for the Ravens, which is the house that he's a part of, so that they don't fall out of esteem and they continue to be a notable presence in this world. But the female main character, Lysana, is doing it because she can. So there is a dragon fight at the beginning of this book that I mentioned, and Rafe is gravely injured. Now, something that I wouldn't consider a spoiler is that both of these actually have magic, and in the history of the world, the people who are now living in the sky used to live on Earth and they were oppressed by magic wielders. So they prayed to the gods raised the lands up into the sky, and now all of these people hate anybody who has magic and sentences them to death. So both of these characters have magic, and it has to be a secret. In the nature of Lysana rescuing Rafe, she used her magic to heal him, and when she returned to check on him, he had already been healing himself. So they both know that the other has magic, and because of this, she has decided that she wants him to be her mate because she thinks that he's the crown prince because he's stepping in for Xander, and she has decided that she wants him. Pretty much everything she's doing, she's just showing off, and she wants him, and she will do anything to have him, but that is pretty much her entire motivations. But I feel like she's going about things a little bit questionably because, as I said right at the beginning, he's injured. She takes him away, but hides him somewhere, half heals him. His wings are all broken and he has really bad burns, and because she's not supposed to be out of the castle, she just leaves him there in that state. She heals his fatal wounds and then just leaves him in immeasurable pain, and she's like, oh, I'll come back tonight because my mum and dad will shout at me if they find me gone. So I'm not really sure I can get behind Lysana and her motivations for what she's doing, but I do like Rafe. We also have a little bit of a plot twist which I won't say much about, but one of the characters is not as they appear, and I'm still kind of waiting for the third character of the king that isn't in the sky to come into play, because I've only encountered him twice and I don't really know what's going on with him and how that whole thing's going to unravel. I'm enjoying some aspects of this book, but I can't 100% get behind it right now because Rafe has reasonable motives and Lysana is just being a brat. I kind of understand why she wants to be with him because they can share their secret with each other and she won't have to live in secrecy with this aspect of her that she can't share with anybody else. But at the same time, she's mischievous. She's described as being mischievous, but she's kind of just manipulating people, and she's playing games. Like, she didn't tell Rafe who she was because she wanted it to be a surprise just for shits and giggles. So she's annoying me a little bit, but I do like him as a character, and I'm hoping that the stakes are going to get a little bit higher and she's going to stop being quite so bratty, and I'm going to be enjoying this a little bit more. The fantasy aspects as well, though, okay, but with this being a Tristan and Isolde retelling and also young adults, I'm kind of okay with it being light on the in-depth fantasy aspects, which it is currently at the moment. But yeah, I'm almost halfway into that now. Don't think I'm gonna finish it before Gav and Ashley arrive tomorrow because it is 9 p.m. at the moment and I haven't edited my wrap up. I've only filmed it, and I'm also off to get a bath now, so I'm not sure if I'm going to just edit that in the morning before they arrive and then set it to upload because it's not due up till Sunday anyway. But yeah, we'll see how I get on with this, and if I don't manage to finish it tonight / tomorrow morning, then I will read ACOTAR for the 24-hour readathon and then pick back up The Raven and the Dove on Sunday. Hey guys, so I'm just kind of waiting for Gavin and Ashley to arrive. I think I have around an hour, and I also think that Gavin is arriving first now. It was supposed to be Ashley, but her trains have been cancelled as usual. I have made, I'll show you because it looks super cozy. I've made this little area on the floor. This is not actually supposed to be for sitting on and stuff. I just got all of the blankets down that we're gonna need tonight, but the sofa, which looks awful right now, apologies. The sofa is only for 2 people, so I thought that I would just leave that like that for now so that whoever's not on the sofa, which will probably be me, has somewhere to sit later on tonight. But the main reason that I'm checking in right now is because I got another Amazon parcel, so I thought I would open this up for you guys before those 2 arrive and chaos ensues. Chaos has already ensued, to be honest, with Ashley's trains being messed up. Okay, so oh, notes. Fruits Basket Volume 1. Wow, okay. So this is from Paige. Thank you so much, Paige. Says this was one of my gateway mangas as a kid, and I think the ships in it will be up your alley. I love your content and can't wait to see you flourish even more with your business endeavors. And yeah, it's Paige. Thank you so much, Paige. This is a shoujo manga that is very popular, and you guys know I have been loving contemporary manga and want to read more of it. Didn't actually realize that this was so thick. I thought it was a lot smaller volumes. I actually found this in a list of sad manga because I do like manga that deals with difficult topics, and I believe it follows a girl who is dealing with grief. Yeah, it says after a family tragedy turns her life upside down, plucky high schooler Toru Honda takes matters into her own hands and moves out into a tent. This is weird because it says that the family offers to take her in, but she finds out that when embraced by the opposite sex, the family members turn into animals of the Chinese zodiac. So this seems a little bit bizarre, but I hope I enjoy it. I mean, Paige said that the ships in here will be up my alley, so I'm very excited to give this one a try. Thank you so much, Paige, for sending this my way. I didn't finish editing the video last night that I had to. I'm like halfway through editing it because Ashley FaceTimed me, which she always does when I'm in the middle of doing something. It's normally editing and then we talk for hours. So I didn't get that edited, and I have an hour now that I could spend editing that video, but I also installed World of Warcraft last night, which was a big mistake because it's going to ruin absolutely everything for me. But I'm also tempted to play a little bit of World of Warcraft while I wait for Gavin. I have played World of Warcraft before. I started playing it when I was ill a couple of years ago, and I was playing it on my boyfriend's laptop because he has a gaming laptop, but then he obviously wanted to use his laptop for stuff, and mine would run it, but not in very good quality. It wasn't bad, it was definitely playable, but compared to what I was used to playing on my boyfriend's laptop, I just kind of weaned myself off it. But now that I have a Mac, it should run with a little bit better graphics. I'm gonna start with like a whole new character because it has been a while since I played it and I would not be able to get back into what I was doing at the time. But yeah, World of Warcraft is gonna take over my life again, and I kind of want to play it for an hour now. But can you just play World of Warcraft for an hour? I don't think it's actually possible to not just completely lose yourself in the game. So we'll see if I can resist playing World of Warcraft till next week, but it's probably not looking good and I'll probably end up playing it. If you look really closely, you will see a wild Gavin Hetherington approaching. There he is. There's my boy. Look at him. He's completely oblivious to what's going on. And this is why I would make a great stalker. Has he seen me? Has he seen me? He hasn't. Hey, baby.
Hello, my love. I didn't knock. You knew I was coming.
I did. Oh, thanks.
It's Becca, she's locked the door. There we go. Come in, come in. Oh my god. Wow. It's our first meeting.
Hey guys, so I'm just checking in with you because Gavin wants to do a vlog update and he's scared and wants somebody else to go before him. I don't really have anything to tell you because you saw both Ashley and Gavin arrive, and you know that we're reading ACOTAR for basically Brit's 24-hour readathon. Oh, he's vlogging me vlogging now, and also Ashley just typing, which is great. Oh, there's his knees.
Hello, babies.
There we go. There's everybody. Grace is coming as well. I didn't mention that. Grace will be here. I'm babysitting her on Valentine's Day. Not spending any time with my boyfriend because I'm spending time with my friends. And I'm dog sitting while my dad goes out with his girlfriend. This is like peak adulting for sad people who aren't single, which is really weird.
I'm single.
Gavin's single. Oh yeah, Ashley's also not with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
We're both with our boyfriend actually. Here he is.
I'm everybody's boyfriend.
Woo! But also nobody's.
Thanks.
So it sounded like a rip, but I was more going on like your choice of not having a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it is my fault, but I don't want to make it my fault. I want to blame other people.
It's nearly 5:30. I'm going to be making pizza soon. We are bringing the readathon forward a little bit because we are doing something tomorrow that will take
we have the power to do
quite a bit of time. So we are actually starting at 6 p.m, so in 30 minutes. So I'm going to start making pizza soon. Gavin is lifting his shirt and putting his crotch in my face. And when we've eaten pizza and had fun with Grace, we will all be starting ACOTAR. Gavin, how do you feel?
Hungry?
No, about starting ACOTAR.
Oh, wet. I feel wet.
I mean, same. So yeah, that's the vlog update that didn't need to be done, and you'll see what happens directly after this if you watch Gavin's vlog, if he does actually do a vlog update.
I can see you. This is about a woman called Rose. This vlog update is going to be 28 minutes long. Do you know how long it's going to take to edit this shit? Okay, so this is about a woman called Rose. She's in a very abusive relationship. Do not laugh, anyone. Do not laugh. That's so inappropriate, Becca. She is in a very abusive relationship with Norman, and Norman is a very bad man.
Vloggers, man. Who would want to hang out with them?
Excuse me, I was about to vlog.
Okay. Well, I was just doing a panning shot, but like everybody was vlogging, so I was like, fun social time. And also Grace, who doesn't vlog sadly, but if she did, she'd be well famous.
Oh, she would be the most famous of us all.
Yeah, probably. Look how interesting she is. I wanted to do a panning shot, so like just act natural. Hey guys, so it is 7:20 AM on the 16th, Sunday morning. I haven't checked in with you at all because the readathon didn't go well. I'm on page like 50 of ACOTAR. How far did you get, Gavin?
Page 75.
Page 75?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you enjoying ACOTAR?
I'm enjoying it so far from what I've read.
Yeah.
It's been good. Very well written. Yeah. I like the characters.
Yeah.
Haven't met any of them yet, but I like them. I like them.
You like them? You like them? You like them a lot, some might say.
I'm a positive
You
person.
like them a lot.
I like them.
So yeah, we've done no reading.
Nope.
But it's 7:20 AM. And we're still not going to bed. We're still doing some stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a fun night.
It's been a very fun sleepover, indeed.
With no sleeping.
Yeah, so it's been a fun over.
And we wish it was. We wish it was over.
Never.
So yeah, what page of ACOTAR are you on?
Me? 50 something. I can't remember, it was so long ago.
It feels like
It
a
was.
millennia ago.
We're gonna go to bed soon, hopefully. Probably won't read
No.
for a very long time.
No.
Probably
I'm
gonna
done.
sleep all of Sunday. I'm supposed to be doing a themed fantasy romance reading vlog. I still have 200 pages of The Raven and the Dove left. I also have videos to edit to go tomorrow before you guys even leave.
Oh shit.
So yeah, I have some busy times ahead of me, but I will try and finish at least The Raven and the Dove and get back to you on how I enjoyed that. Bye. Hey guys, so it is currently like 1:30 AM possibly on 1:30 AM on technically Tuesday morning now. I have just got home. I won't tell you from where because that will come in next week's vlog, which is kind of this week's vlog because it's already Tuesday. But I have been putting off wrapping up this vlog and the reason for that is quite obvious. I failed. I was doing so well. I read a lot of the Fading Lands. I got some way into The Raven and the Dove, and up until Thursday everything was going great. We were going to have our first themed reading vlog, and then as I predicted in the couple of updates I did where I opened those parcels, as soon as Gavin and Ashley arrived, everything descended into chaos. This update is going to be really quick because I haven't read very much at all since Friday, I think. I'm exactly 60% of the way through The Raven and the Dove, so that's around page 300, and I'm on page 47 of ACOTAR. So I didn't read a single page on Saturday at all, and last night, Sunday night, I read a couple of chapters of The Raven and the Dove. I need to charge my Kindle actually because I'm finding that because I'm reading on my phone, even though I can read on my phone, I have a group chat with Gavin and Ashley in that tends to be very active at the times that I'm reading, which is normally the evening. So it's just really distracting reading on my phone because I'll pop a reply to those guys and then I'll forget that I was reading in the first place and end up like going on Twitter or something. So yeah, I think I might charge up my Kindle to get through The Raven and the Dove. I don't really have anything to say on it that I haven't already said because I haven't made that much progress since then. About 200 pages left of it. I'm hoping to wrap it up soon. I'm wondering where the story's going and what degree of stuff is going to happen and what degree of things are going to happen, like how far relationships and things are going to be developing in this first book, with it being a duology. And then of course ACOTAR I will also be continuing on with next week. So even though I didn't get any reading done this weekend, I still had a really great time with Gavin and Ashley. Honestly, just so much chaotic energy having both of them here. I had a great time. I loved every second of it. We had some fun. We did some fun stuff. You will have probably seen some photos that we took now, which it was was wild. It was a wild time, and Curtis actually said to me today it was like having a group of giggling girls in the house for 3 days, because he could hear us just pretty much howling from upstairs, which is where he was most of the time, hiding from us. And to be honest, I don't blame him, because the stuff we were getting up to, I would have hidden from us as well. So I'm gonna go now. I'm going to take my makeup off, get my contact lenses out because my eyeballs are starting to itch, and get some sleep. Sorry that this supposedly themed reading vlog was a fail. I had high hopes. I did so well. I do want to try again at a themed reading vlog and hopefully be successful. I was thinking of just doing random themes depending on what's going on, and I think I probably will still do that. However, I am thinking of maybe making more fantasy romance vlogs, because that is definitely a genre that I want to continue to explore. Every time I mention it, or every time I review a fantasy romance book, you guys kind of listen to what I like and I don't like. So for example, I like mating bonds, but I didn't like the love at first sight. So you guys keep recommending me books based on the things that I'm discovering that I like and don't like as I go through the genre. So it would be really interesting to continue exploring the genre and find what I like, because my thing is that I love Sarah J Maas, right? You guys know this. I've mentioned it like 5 million times in this video alone. But Sarah J Maas is a fantasy romance author with a massive marketing budget behind her, and she has been marketed at young adults as a fantasy author, and what that has meant is that so many more people have picked up her books than would have picked up her books if they were fantasy romance books with a typical fantasy romance cover, which as we know are not the best looking, I have to admit. I always assumed that fantasy romance was really trashy because the covers are not good, but that's not true. It's just the whole publishing package. So what I'm aiming to find essentially is an author that I love as much as Sarah J Maas, that is writing in the fantasy romance genre, which is technically where Sarah J Maas should be. I'm not mad that she's not been publishing fantasy romance, because I probably would not have picked up her books otherwise, but pretty much Sarah J Maas is a fantasy romance author. And because of that, I believe that there is an author out there somewhere that I will love as much as I love Sarah J Maas in the fantasy romance genre. I just have to find them. So that is my goal. Let me know if you guys would like me to continue to try and do fantasy romance specific reading vlogs, and I'll see if I can make it happen. If not, I'm just going to carry on reading through the genre anyway, and then I'll eventually bring you a recommendations video if I can figure out what's going on there. But that is finally it for this week's vlog. I hope you liked it. If you made it this far, please don't forget to like this vlog if you did like it, and subscribe if you wanna, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.